You're listening to the Dark Mage of Rhudaur, a Middle-earth role-playing, actual play podcast presented by Geek at Arms. When we left you, you were slipping into Rivendell by secret and crafty ways known to elves and not to orcs. You've crossed the river just ahead of the hordes of Angmar, and you are entering the last homely house west of the Misty Mountains. Of course, the elves are already well aware that Angmarian forces are on their way, and so they're alert and meet you at the gates. There's a rather overly tall, silver-haired elf named Anarion, no relation to the other Anarion. And as soon as he recognizes Aradion, he gives a slight nod to his head and says, "Welcome back, brother. Lord Elrond has been expecting you."
Sounds like we shouldn't make him wait any longer.
Generally not recommended, although he does have a rather longer view of life than the rest of us do. Would you care to introduce me to your short friends here?
Yes. These three have been assisting me. The bald one is Mhenuk, his brother Mhutvak, and Glock as well.
And what about this smelly Northman?
Oh yeah, forgot about him. He has been a dear treasure. That's Baga. Please keep him safe.
Oh, you're leaving him with me? Huh? All right. Baga, is it?
Aye.
Do you like knives?
Of course I like knives. What you got?
And you wander off into Rivendell. Baga is, of course, wide-eyed, elves everywhere. This is the most beautiful place he's ever seen. Having been a peasant in the Angle, doesn't get out much. And you know your way around, so you find your way to Elrond's council chambers. And there is the man himself. You dwarves, this is, of course, the first time you've seen him. He's broad-shouldered for an elf, long, dark hair without a hint of any gray or silver. He's got a circlet of silver on his head, gray eyes that you almost feel like they glimmer as he looks on you. He seems ageless. He feels ancient, but he looks young. And you get a sense of just tremendous power and benevolence from him. He says,
"Welcome. It has been a good long time since the Nelgrim have graced my halls."
Of course, I'm happy to be back.
"Of course, you have been here many times. I was referring to your dwarven friends."
And I bow.
"What news from Khazad-dûm, then?"
I wish we could... Wait, are we from Khazad-dûm?
"No, you are on your way to Khazad-dûm."
Yeah, that's what I thought. I wish we could tell you
Aye.
that is actually our destination and not our home. We come from the west.
Aye.
"Ah, then it has been even longer since I have met any of your kin. Welcome thrice again."
We appreciate your welcome.
"Aradion, did your mission meet with success?"
Yes, we were able to learn more about the Blood Whites.
"I see. And what did you learn?"
They are indeed working for the Witch King, though it may only take one arrow.
As I recall, they were fell creatures, difficult to destroy. A single arrow seems unlikely to have destroyed one permanently.
We were there for quite a while. Did not seem like it got back up.
Did we keep its weapon, or did we dispose of it?
Nobody ever said anything about the weapon.
No, I don't think we kept it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember if we looted anything from it. I don't think I'm carrying anything.
No, nobody said anything about picking up its greatsword or the daggers that the other one had.
Okay.
We were able to dispatch 2 of them, as well as a mage that they were working with.
Like most things that walk the line between life and death, the Whites will certainly rise to threaten us again. Though if they were so easily vanquished, it may well take them years to gather sufficient strength to do so. I have sent Mithrandir to consult with others among the wise. With their aid, perhaps we can at last send these wretched souls to their final death.
Lord Elrond, I don't mean to be rude. This is great for catch-up and information, but do you know that there is a large contingency of evil heading your way or at your doorstep?
Yes, we are aware, and I am taking pains to ensure they do not cross the rivers. However, I fear that their intention is not to assault us here, but merely to keep us pinned while the Witch King enacts some other plan.
Understood.
Aradion, before you left, we had word that the Turthon was encircled. Does it still stand?
It was barely still standing when we left, but it was being... I do not believe it would still be now, though.
I feared as much. I did not think that the host of Angmar would be at our doorstep if there was a fortification behind them. Several of the watchtowers still stand, but without the northernmost it will be a matter of only a season or two before the Angle is entirely under his sway. You three said you were on your way to Khazad-dûm. If we were to show you secret ways out of Imladris, would you carry a message to Durin for me? Perhaps, with assistance from the dwarves, we could break this siege and ride to aid the Edain.
But of course we would do what we could.
I am much happier with secret ways than more sieges at this point, with all due respect. Of course, if you need us to help you hold, then I suppose it would be rude to refuse, given hospitality. But yes, I will happily carry your message.
I appreciate the sentiment. This battle, however, shall likely not be won through force of arms. My skills can keep us hidden and keep the orcs away, for years upon years if necessary, and I doubt they have the stomach for so prolonged a conflict.
So he dismisses you, bids you to take advantage of the hospitality of Imladris, rest up, get healed, get your equipment repaired. Is there anything that any of you in particular would like to do?
So you said that the copper would give a bonus of
Yes.
15 items that it makes?
That is correct. And you've got quite a lot of it.
Yeah. Oh, and we know about the ley crystals, but I'd also like to show him the black crystal that I'm carrying and see if the elves know anything about that.
All right.
And the spell book. We can get rid of that at last, too.
You pull out that black crystal
And show it to one of the smiths.
He takes it and turns it over in his hands a few times, says, well, it's certainly a thing of beauty. I don't know that it has any particular properties of any use. I imagine that you could make a fine, beautiful sculpture out of it. It has no intrinsic properties of any import. Now, this book, on the other hand, this is not a thing that I think should be employed. I can only think, being written in the Black Speech, that it would be a means of contacting some dark spirit. And although the spells themselves seem benign enough, using such magics is not without risk. In game terms, anybody who had attempted to cast spells from it or learned those spells would have to make resistance rolls against corruption every time they used the magic.
Sounds like a good thing we never used.
Yeah. Good call having me carry it, I guess.
Yes.
You are very well insulated against it. Anybody else have an agenda?
I like that idea of using the copper coins that... Yeah, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that well. Using those to get some better equipment.
We unfortunately lost Glock's audio here, but he asked if the elves would compose a ballad of the adventure.
There are certainly many elven minstrels around here, and they do have a very strong tradition of oral histories and storytelling. They love stories, actually. And so, yeah, you spend a couple of evenings, telling them tales of your exploits. A couple of them even put together a few verses of song. Of course, it sounds all frou-frou to your ears. Mhutvak, anything that you want to do? Anybody you want to talk to here?
No, I just like to make sure that I get everything repaired and want to make sure that, get refreshed with some food and drink. Other than that, I'm kind of
All right.
just taking it all in.
The elves' diet is light on meat and long on vegetables, but they can be forgiven for that because at least it's good food and tasty.
Mm-hmm.
They outfit you with a new set of clothes and a fine cloak. Looks like it'll blend nicely with the leaves of the forest. Get your weapons and your gear all polished up and the remains of Dunman cleaned off of it and all the troll blood.
I would, and I kind of hold a finger up as I'm talking to the smithies, would be interested in if I might take a peek at mithril vest or shirt. Would you happen to
Well,
have anything on hand I could take a look at?
well, mithril is really more your area. Something that's more common among dwarves than us, but there are a few trinkets here and there. And he pulls out, there's a heavy armband made of mithril. And it's very definitely a dwarven make. He says, I traded this for a longbow to a dwarf 300-400 years ago, mostly just to have a piece of mithril for my own. I think there was a dagger that Glorfindel has that's mithril. He would be loath to part with it, though. He's killed many an orc with that thing.
I understand greatly. Thank you for your time.
Of course. All right, so a few days pass. You guys get yourselves healed up. Your belly's full. Your equipment is in good repair. And a small party of elves guides you out of Rivendell and shows you some pathways through the forest, bypassing the Angmarian forces. And you eventually make your way down, all the way down to Khazad-dûm. Of course, you don't have the same trouble as Gandalf trying to open the door because Khazad-dûm is currently occupied.
Right.
Yes.
You're not of great, high status or anything, so it's not like you're ushered immediately into Durin's presence. But there are some middling rank dwarven nobles that you're able to talk to and pass along Elrond's message. And of course, you're given the grand tour, the mighty halls of Khazad-dûm, the bridges, endless chasms, mines of true silver, and to Mhenuk's great delight, the magical forges. The forge master is just very excited to see those lay-in crystals. And he says in exchange for one of them, he will teach you how to make something out of the other, and he will allow you to use the cold forge to do so.
Oh, yes.
That's nice.
Gladly.
In the months that followed, Angmar redoubled its assault upon the Angle. Rivendell remained under siege for 13 years. True to his word, Elrond's magic held the Angmar at bay for all that time, but no dwarves came to his aid. And so the Volsegi fought their unsung war, the Gondrin falling one by one, until Rhudaur lay in ruins, given over at last to the trolls. Ethicali, disgraced, attempted to flee Eriador, but was captured and returned to Angmar, where he suffered unspeakable tortures for his failure. And beneath the blighted soil of the Evilwood, wrapped in elven magic and chains of cold iron, a black soul stirred. Thank you for listening to the Dark Mage of Rhudaur. This module and the Middle-earth role-playing game were published by Iron Crown Enterprises under license from Tolkien Enterprises. Music for the podcast was provided by Dark Fantasy Studio. For more actual play recordings and the Geek at Arms podcast, point your browsers to geekatarms.com or find us on iTunes, Spotify, your favorite podcast app, or in your grocer's freezer.